All the things I hear from people. What's good with y'all tonight? It's your man Donald King. Y'all have to forgive your boy. I am looking kind of rough tonight. Not that it should matter. Got a little bit of ice up here. Hot in this room and trying to keep fan noise to a minimum. I hope all of y'all are doing well tonight. I haven't slept well for the last couple of days, so I'm looking kind of tired, and plus the scarring from the acne I picked up from eating all my sorbet. Why, it's kicking in, and even some beautiful bruising. But the show must go on, regardless of whether or not I'm looking pretty or I'm looking subpar. Keeps it moving. Fortunately, I'm not so sold on the idea of aesthetics anymore. I guess I have to stop. I had to chill on eating my ice because it's getting in the way of me speaking. But fortunately, I'm not so vain anymore that I would freeze whenever I didn't look presentable. That's one of the worst parts about narcissism. I was narcissistic in the past. I grew up in a very traumatic situation and circumstance, from being abused as a very young child all the way until I went into foster care, got adopted, and the whole time I was being torn down. The whole time I was being told I was valueless and I was ugly and I was stupid. And then when I finally started getting this little bit of attention, because people thought I was all right, because some ladies, they came to me like, yo, hey, you got it, man, you good. I'm like, word. And then I'm a naturally muscular person, you know what I'm saying? So I started getting that attention. And that attention, why it became my whole identity. And as I had mentioned before, trauma is the phobia of disempowerment. So the phobia of disempowerment, it lends itself to narcissism, where you're constantly trying to reassure yourself that you have value because you're afraid of being voiceless again. You're afraid of being disempowered again. And in my narcissistic phase, I really leaned into my identity. Everything was about how I projected to others, and it became this prison to a point that when I no longer had like this, my six-pack etched in, I became afraid to take off my shirt at pools. I didn't want to go swimming anymore because I always felt like I was being judged. Even that shirtless photo I took and posted it on Facebook earlier this year, it had to do with me. It didn't have to do with me showing off. It had to do with me facing this trauma, facing this fear of disempowerment and being mocked for not being ideal. I put it up not because I expected any sort of praise or adulation from the photo. I did it because I was legit scared to. I like solitude and peace. I love women, but as much as I love women, I prefer to be with one woman at a time. When I always thought I wanted my own brothel. No, harem. Harem, is that the word I'm looking for? Well, harem, but I also wanted them to be super freaky too. So, a harem, a brothel, but just for me. I don't like to share. It's a one penis per fantasy rule. Wild days, man. Which brings us sort of to the point of tonight's podcast. What do you think my incentive is for doing all this? What do you think my incentive is? Now, there are a lot of really cowardly people out there. I am most disappointed in the people who I grew up with. Right? I mean, I know that Jesus said prophet doesn't preach in their hometown, but these are all people who I respected and loved and appreciated, and I always held them in high esteem. I always had put them on a high regard, like they were never beneath me, and for some reason the only way for me to exist in their lives, at least from their end, is for them to hold some belief or be firmly affixed and settled in some belief that they hold some type of power over me, that they know the real Donald and whatever other cowardly shit they come up with. It's kind of like you know how you felt like, and I say this for black people and I guess white people who are sort of more of the liberal view. You know how disappointed you felt when you found out that your neighbor, this person who you loved and who you revered and had high respect for, as soon as Trump got in power, they turned into an asshole, and you're like, you're sort of blindsided with this awareness that, my God, they were this way the entire time. All this time I put them on this pedestal. I'd always looked at them with such high favor and such high levels of respect. And the only thing it took was me telling the truth of an experience that doesn't verify or validate their inner story for them to show their true colors, and it broke my fucking heart. It broke my heart because I thought they were better than that. I held them in higher esteem than that. I'm like, you're better than this. I looked up to all of them. And I say looked up, and I mean looked up. I looked up to these people like they were my... I never, like, idealized them. But it was more along the lines of, like, man, you're my brethren. I rock with you. And all it took was me telling the truth in a way that didn't verify their experience, but more importantly, their status beliefs. By me being what I am and speaking on behalf of what I speak on behalf of, I invalidate their status beliefs. This view that they somehow held some type of power or dominion over me. Like I was breaking the chain of command somehow. And it caused them to behave cowardly towards someone who only brought love and open arms to them. It's very much like, again, it's very much like what black people experience with Trump supporters. You know, you sit here and it's like, here goes your homeboy, your coworker. You and Jake, you laughed it up the entire time. This is your dude. You laugh, you get beers and all these other things. Trump gets in power and all of a sudden, find out Jake was a racist the whole time. And all he was looking for was something to give him the license and authority he felt he needed to lash out at you. And it hurts. Which again circles us back to the question of tonight's podcast, the subject. What the fuck do you think my incentive is for doing this stuff? I've been telling people I'm an avatar for, God, over 13 years now. I've been explaining what it is. I've been giving people the full breakdown. Nothing is hidden. I know a lot of cowardly people out here like, oh, he just wants attention. Who wants this kind of attention? Would you want this kind of attention? The other day, here, I'm going to grab my phone real quick because I'm going to read something to y'all. So the other day, I had some guy who I've never interacted with before hop on my inbox. I want to read this to you because I don't want to paraphrase it too much. You know what I'm saying? This dude, he called himself Sky Darmos, okay? And just out of nowhere, well, it's a lengthy conversation, but it goes to this Instagram post that I put up. And it says, when I said, the identity is a weapon. Dude comes to me, weapon to make you feel safe? What weapon are you talking about? I'm confused. I said, the identity is a weapon. He said, what kind of identity? I said, all identities. The identity is basically the story the individual actor tells themselves about the world around them and their place and value within it. Do you know the difference between a weapon and a tool? He said, that is too abstract. No idea what you mean. And he said, and then he responds to my question, a weapon is destructive, a tool is constructive. And I'll go ahead and embellish on that a bit. A tool is an instrument one uses to advance and or accomplish tasks with. A weapon is an instrument one uses to cause injury and or intimidate others with towards protecting themselves or taking from others. Simply put, a tool is meant to help you advance, whereas a weapon is meant to keep others back. And he says, okay, how is your identity relevant? I said, because society is based on competition. Competition being an attempt to dominate, subdue others. The identity is necessarily a weapon. When people compete to be right, argue, debate, what's actually happening at a mechanical level is one party is attempting to subdue the other towards making their identity, which is comprised of meanings, symbols, beliefs, habits, practices, allegiances, and social treatments and effects, I defeat and or subdue the other party, as if to say, my beliefs are superior to your beliefs, I will beat you with my knowledge, hope, and pride. In this sense, the identity is most certainly a weapon. I'm going to humiliate, injure, intimidate you with my potency, pride, knowledge, etc. And he comes in, that is logical relativism, and said, is using the inner story as a weapon. He said, I guess there's no one in the world I disagree with more than you, but whatever. And then after that, it evolves into him trying to berate me and attack me. You know what I'm saying? Let me say, you are chilling and not thinking. This kind of fake enlightenment is most annoying. Even though there's nothing fake about anything that I said, not even trying to. Here he goes. He just goes off, starts trying to tear me down for describing things according to how I see them and understand them. Who wants this kind of attention? Do you know how often this comes to me? Every day, some society weaponizes some cowardly ideologue against me. Kind of like agents from the Matrix, right? Weaponizes some cowardly ideologue against me. And he's like, hey, I'm going to send 5 or 6 people to attack. It doesn't matter if you're a Neo. At a certain point, you get tired of taking out Agent Smiths before they disconnect from the Matrix and do the whole hokey shit. But you get tired of dealing with agents of corruption all the goddamn time. Who wants this kind of attention? We sit here and it's like you have arguably one of, if not the, I wouldn't say most important, but definitely the most unique perspective on the planet, because for all intents and purposes, my intelligence as a project of hosting this thing is alien to this planet. Being shadow banned and people doing little shit to make sure that you can't advance and that you can't be heard. Who wants that kind of attention? What's the incentive? Then other cowardly ideologues, they come in and they're like, oh, you're just trying to mislead people, you're evil. Really? Let me ask you something. Who tries to mislead people by encouraging them to think and encouraging them to be observant and encouraging them to scrutinize everything that they're saying? You ever look at an illusionist? You ever look at a magician? What do? They constantly try to confuse your senses by directing you to this and directing you to that and directing you to this. They mix up all of the shit so that you are confused long enough for them to pull the wool over your eyes and pull off an effect. I'm literally not, I'm emptying I'm turning my pockets out. I'm showing all sides of my hands. I'm getting as spiritually and mentally naked for you all as I possibly can. I'm doing this in transparency. I'm like, don't believe me. Don't. So there's no way for me to mislead you. If I'm not trying to mislead you, then I can't be evil. So that's just a weak argument that people come up with so as to protect their own little fragile identities. It's cowardice. It's weak. Oh, he's doing this for attention. Listen here. People who think that I'm doing this for attention, I don't want to brag. But I get enough attention without having to do this. I'm certainly not doing this for pussy. I mean, granted, it's a lot of ladies who think that I'm alright. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of ladies out there who think that I'm cool. But I get enough attention from ladies who think that I'm attractive on my own right. I don't need to do all this extra stuff if attention from women is what I want. If attention from people in general is what I want. I don't need to do this. I'm talented. Like, exceptionally talented. And I'm not bragging. It's a quantifiable thing. I get out here and I given enough time, there are very few things in life that I can't learn and master and do with great proficiency. I teach myself almost everything. I'm autodidactic. I can do very impressive things. So I don't need to do this for attention. What exactly do you think my end game is here? What do you think my end game is? So if I'm not doing it for attention, I'm not doing it to misdirect you. I pray to God more than anybody to make sure that I'm walking on the right path. Everything that I say, it is supported by the best that every philosophical and theological book or text or philosophy can produce. There's nothing to make me to say that, to suggest that it's like, hey, I'm out here trying to mislead people, which would, I mean, like, Jesus Christ, if I was out here trying to mislead people, I would put a price tag on this shit a long time ago. That was one of my big beefs with Sebi, man. When me and Sebi met, and I tell people about this, when I met Dr. Sebi down in La Ceiba, right? Me and Sebi met, and he gets me into a room, and it's like, this is after our show. I actually gave him the double helix structure I built using prime numbers, the double helix structure I built to demonstrate how prime numbers actually create the frame from which RNA and DNA coding emerge. I gave that to my man as a gift. As a gift. As soon as he and I were alone in a room, you know the first thing he said to me? Who sent you? Who sent you? Who put you here? People like you and me are not supposed to meet. He knew something I didn't know. But me and him, we beefed because here it is. He has this light in his work, this understanding, this awareness. And he put a price tag on that shit. He was selling the gift of life. If I was a hustler, oh man, even with universal math, the universal math 1, I haven't even put out parts 1 through 4 yet. And I'm not even thinking about them right now because it's like I know that I'm in, society's hardware. So it's like I haven't even really broken it down. I started mapping out some for universal math 2, but it's all in the perspective. I can see it all, but it's like that alone, it goes in the direction that human math can't go in. If I put a price tag on this, then maybe I'd be a deceitful dude. Maybe I'd be evil. But I've been doing this shit for 13 years for free. I'm just now getting to a point where I'm accepting donations to help me focus on this so that I can help y'all. But I did the work on the front end to make sure it was legit. I tested my perspective against the best minds I could find and get access to make sure this thing was legit, because I didn't want to deceive anybody. What if an extraterrestrial had got hold of me and was beaming some information through me that was that seemed like it was going in one direction but was going off, in another, and I was like, oh shit, I gave people all of this hope, I gave people all this information, only to turn out to be deceiving them. That would weigh heavy on my conscience. So nobody has done more work to falsify me than me. I haven't just done the work of sharing principles. I've done the work of making sure that what I see is legitimate too. Who would do this? Who would do this for fun? Would you? Have your friends and your family treat you like you're a leper for making sense and not edifying them and the power they think they should hold over you? Would you sign up to do that? To have narcissists constantly come to you with their stupid stories, trying to tell you and prove to you that they're special too. You sign up to do that? I mean, shit, it's like, even if I wanted to pimp this for pussy, dog. I mean, like, dude, come on. I mean, like, if I was really a deceiver, I'd be out here trying to do like these pastors, trying to get people to believe I'm a man of the cloth, so that ultimately I can find my way into somebody's panties. Come on. If I was on that slick shit, it's like it would have shown by now. So what is my motivation? What is my motivation? What part of this do you think is fun for me? Last year I lost my family, and me and my ex-wife, we were just being together for my son for a minute, but then last year it's like I lost my girl. Let me see. Upon coming an Avatar, I had to lose all my worldly possessions in order to be made, I guess, available for this thing. Like the identity of Donald King had to take a back seat in order for me to do this work. The Avatar perspective, using the Avatar perspective itself, some days it's like it's draining, it's taxing. This has been all work. All work. I had to lose things. I had to be humbled. I had to watch my talent be rendered irrelevant by reality itself, so that I could be made to know that I'm not running the show. What part of this do you think is entertaining? What part of this do you think is fun? Would you sign up to do this? What rational person would? See, again, the reason I shoot these podcasts is to give you some idea as to my frame of mind. I joke, I laugh. I want you to see a full, well-rounded, and I'm not trying to project mental health to you, but I know that that's what has to come across, because I'm a mentally healthy person. I'm not into self-idealizing. I'm not always up here worshiping myself or trying to do the most to steer attention to me. Steer attention to the work. To what this entity I'm hosting is directing me to say, and then the long laundry list of just consistent data I've produced. Maybe laundryless wasn't the best word, but it's consistent data that's only refined and gotten better the more that I've practiced using the perspective and speaking principles out. But this has all been done for free 99. Free 99. Would you do this for free? If you had a type of intelligence, if you possessed a type of intelligence that couldn't be replicated, that can't be replicated, that demonstrates itself to be unique among the species, and that can perform without having to rely on or look to convention. If you had that trump card on you and could play it at any time, what would you do with it? I've used my gifts to help people gain understanding for how they exist in relation to not just themselves and each other and the world around them, but to reality as a larger system. What do you think my end game is? How am I winning here? I get tired of all of you cowards out there. You're going to come to me and make me know I'm not as great as I think I am, and do the most to try and wear me down and tear me down. I hate cowardice with a passion, I swear to God. I hate cowardice with a passion. And the only thing that brings you to me is your cowardice, your fear to face reality, your fear to live in a reality where someone who you feel you should be superior to is able to outperform you. It reeks of just corruption. But yeah, man. What do you think this would be for? If I didn't have to do this work, why would I? Would you? All the ass I've passed up through the years, being faithful to this cause, to this movement. I don't call it a movement. Maybe not even a cause. Just doing the work of the avatar. All the opportunities I passed up. Like I legit have the chops to make it as a writer in the music industry. I got the skill, I got the ability to do that at a professional level. And I got sidelined so that I could focus on this. I can invent on the fly. I can invent good things, and not just like products. I can invent entire industries if I want to. Just because. You honestly think I do this for attention? Would anybody who's trying to get you to pay attention to everything that they say and understand them properly and walk you through the steps of helping you arrive at understanding for the principles they're describing to you? If I was trying to misdirect you, why would I put that much work in? And who would pay me for misdirecting you? Who would be like, oh man, yeah, he did his thing? The devil certainly wouldn't. Corruption doesn't pay anybody. Not in things that are gonna last. It's like corruption. Corruption never gives you wealth. Corruption lets you borrow it, and then it takes it back. when you're no longer of service to it. That's just how it works. You ever notice how these people, they go into the industry, music industry, or the entertainment industry, and then they get to look important for a short period of time. They get to be comfortable and live in mansions and shit like that. A few years pass, all of a sudden, through taxation, through lifestyle choices, through whatever they call it, they end up broke with nothing to show for the time they got to look important. I used to rule the world, sweep the streets I used to own. And for some reason I can't explain, I know St. Peter won't call my name. That's a great song. I'm probably listening to that a little bit later on tonight, whatever. But yeah, what do you think I do this for? It's not for attention. It's not for money. It's not for sex. It's not to impress anybody. I mean, that's a very important thing, because I would probably make a distinction between attention and trying to look impressive. Who am I going to impress? To want to impress somebody, they'd first have to impress me. When you do the type of things that I'm able to do, and you have awareness for the types of things I have awareness for, and you've had the experiences I've had, things like astral projecting through the body of the universe and beyond. I mean, it's really hard to impress a motherfucker. And if I don't want to impress you, what reason, or if you don't impress me, what reason would I have to try to impress you? What would be my incentive to make all of this up? There's so many more. If I was of the worldly mind, there are so many more lucrative things I could channel my talent into. Which brings us to the other side of this, because we're just past the half-hour mark. So if my motivation is not misdirecting you or misleading you, which it most certainly isn't, if I don't serve evil and or corruption, which I most certainly do not, and I'm only trying to encourage you to be honest and think and sync up with reality, if I'm doing this without a price tag attached to what I do, and doing it through hurt and discomfort and loss, even when I don't feel or look my best, I remain consistent. What is my motivation? My motivation is exactly what I tell you it is. I host an entity that is a function of reality. It's like reality's progeny. It is using me to try to communicate with this species, because on the higher scales of plane, the bodies that we belong to, the parasitic twin, from whence all parasitic viral life forms derive, and the host, I guess host universe, if that's what you call it, or the natural universe, they're about to be fused into a conjoined twin. The point of me being what I am is to try and help as many parasitic life forms, humans and extraterrestrials, and those who can understand me, convert from an aggressor state to a neutral state before the fuse happens, because any life form that remains in an aggressor state, in a corrupt state, beyond when reality calls cease, halt, is going to be removed from the body of well, it will be body, but the bodies now, and then body of the conjoined universe, and then cast into a state and condition in which all of the corruption that remains in their soul is violently purged from them. And then they're going to have all the potential continually extracted from their principal being to make up for all the imbalances they caused and contributed to while they were in a state of corruption, so that reality can balance itself. This is the way it works on a mechanical level. I'm working diligently to explain to you all this principle, this body of principles, and in the process of doing that, I'm sort of cleaning up a lot of your little concepts over here that you have come through, you've achieved through idealism. I'm tweaking them here and there. I'm helping you understand how to have calmer, romantic and platonic and familial relationships and bonds, so that you can lower the level of aggression in you, and thus lower the level of competitiveness in you, and thus lower the level of narcissism in you, so that you can reach a neutral state. I'm trying to help you survive the coming cycle. That's what it boils down to, guys. That's what it boils down to. I'm here to help. And everything, I mean, I endure a lot trying to be available for y'all, man. A lot of days I hurt, man. Some days it's physical, some days it's emotional. I struggle a lot. But in order for me to be present and in this experience, I can't commit to much else beyond doing what I can to remain in this space and be viable. Just, yeah. But you don't do this for fun. Nobody in their right mind would do this for fun, because for the most part it's not fun. Now, going to the other realm, being in the other realm is fun. Having oh my God, the bliss in heaven, are you kidding? Shit. It's amazing. Oh, man. That I could get used to. That feels good. It feels real good. But yeah, you don't do this for fun, guys. You don't do this for attention, because you're only going to get bad attention. You don't do this to mislead people, because you want people to understand you. You don't want anybody to believe you. I'm not looking for people to make agreements with themselves on behalf of me and what I'm saying, or make agreements with themselves on behalf of reality based loosely on the things that I'm saying. I'm like, no, pay attention to the things that I'm saying. Cross-reference this with everything that Jesus said. Cross-reference this with the best philosophies you have. Cross-reference this with the best science you have. I guarantee you, 100 out of 100 times, 1,000,000 out of 1,000,000 times, I'm going to be spot on. And even though I am spot on, still don't make any agreements with yourself about me. You keep thinking. You stay in a perpetual state of thinking, be dialed into reality, instead of reliant on and hopelessly lost within idealism. Yeah, man. I keep it a buck. I got any people out there watching tonight? We got any viewers? I don't expect many these days. But if there is anybody watching, salutations. Yeah, man. It's wild. I do this because I'm supposed to. I mean, because I'm able to see what everything ultimately leads up to. Even though I can't see the future, which is ironic, I understand how this all works at a mechanical level, so I have some indication regarding how things will ultimately pan out, but in terms of knowing the future, I don't. So whether or not you're going to choose corruption or choose reality, it's not for me to say. That is your free will. That is your choice. You get to do that, but I dedicate my life to trying to help you, at the very least, understand so that you can make an informed decision. You were born into a very, very, very unfair circumstance. It's no one's fault that they were born into this predicament. You're dropped in the middle of the race, given a baton, and told to stay ahead of those behind you and catch up to and surpass the ones in front. And the more you race, it's the more competitive you got. The more competitive you got, and the more you sort of self-idealize as a result of those who are being ahead of those behind you. Yeah. The more you self-idealize as a result of being ahead of those behind you, and the more aggressive you got, trying to overtake the ones in front, it led you further and further down the path of corruption. So it's not your fault. You were born into this shit. It's not fair. It's not fair. So even though I'm not necessarily being rewarded, at least on a social scale, for the work that I do, trying to at least give you a fair crack at this shit, that means something to me. Because it doesn't matter how messed up you are, you didn't choose this. Like, look at all the aggressive people in the world right now. Have you looked at all these really angry white people out here? And I'm mentioning white people just because they get more media coverage than, a lot of really angry black people. But it's like, they're bugging out. They're just getting high on drugs and stabbing people and killing people, random people, and breaking into houses, and like, especially when the racism kicks in, they're gung ho about it. They're, I'm gonna kill you, go back to your country. And what they don't even understand is that it's an entity. Society it is an entity manifesting through them that is in a state of trauma, mostly due to the fact that a thing it's feared for a while is here and kicking. A thing that it thought it could weaponize cowardly ideologues against by taking out the people this entity would manifest through, and making sure they were subdued and broken, so that at the very least it could minimize the chances of this thing it feared showing up. Well, the thing is here now, and not even as an enemy. Like, yo, you got a raw deal. I'm not trying to sell you on anything. I'm just trying to give you the opportunity to, at the very least, understand what's going on. When you understand what's going on, you're like, oh shit, this dude is not my enemy. Yeah. When you understand what's going on, you know I'm not your enemy. When you don't, and you choose to rely on stories and fear to inform your decisions, you end up fucking yourself up on the back end. Be brave enough to start the conversation. Again, you were born into a circumstance you didn't choose. Even corruption itself didn't choose to become corruption. Like, you know, what they teach in the religious doctrine is that Satan is a fallen angel. Corruption is a glitch in natural organization resulting from an injury, a higher scale of plane. But yeah, it's just resulted from an injury. It's a glitch. So it fell out of sync with natural organization, thus it became a fallen angel. And then all of a sudden it became aggressive, and it started spreading and consuming and benefiting itself at the expense of the life form that's happening within. And then that aura spread down to and throughout the respective scales of plane for the structural building blocks, and here we are. So you were just born into a state and condition where you were a potential host for corruption. More than likely you were designed to be a host for corruption, but even in that you have natural structural building blocks in you, so even if you're designed to be a host for corruption, you still get to choose reality if you want it. Reality is peace, but corruption gives you the illusion of power, and if you're traumatized, which the socialization process necessarily does to you, then you're so afraid of being disempowered that reality seems scary. Like it's gonna break you, tear you down, make mincemeat of you. I get it. Which is why I want to help. Not everybody gets an avatar perspective. Of all the people who should have had one, I most certainly don't deserve it, but it is what it is. Unfortunately, as my ex-wife said, the universe, reality, whatever you call it, she called it the universe. I used to call it the universe when I thought that it was the universe, but that's before I could actually start using the avatar perspective properly. And I thought it was the universe, and all of a sudden I'm outside the universe, and then like the higher scales of plane, I'm like, oh shit, oh, you're just a tiny, god damn, that universe is tiny. You're little. But my ex-wife was like, read the universe, or what she would now probably refer to as reality. Chose the right one. What did Puffy say? Can't stop, won't stop. I try. But not for the reasons you would probably try. I only want to help to the best of my ability. I only want to help. And I know what it's like to try and make sense of things from behind an unfair circumstance. I know what it's like to fear being disempowered. I know what it's like to fear reality itself, which is why I say maybe she was right. Maybe reality did pick the right one. Just maybe. Y'all already know what it is. Get over to the ticker. It is time to let y'all know what it is. Guys, y'all know I shoot these podcasts every Monday and Wednesday. A special shout out to my brother, Absurd. Thank you for the donation, brother. I appreciate you. Brother Angel, too, and Brother Mark, and Sister Mo, and everybody who's giving me donations through the years. I mean, it's like you guys, I appreciate you more than you could imagine. And I thank you for stepping up and being brave and trying to understand me. You know what I'm saying? Like, more than anything, I'm happy that you try to understand me. Oh, that's something that I also forgot to mention. I can do world-class counseling. I'm going back to the point. I don't need to. If I were only searching for attention or only searching to exploit people, I don't need to like pretend to be a thing in order to do that. I got the skills to pay the bills, literally. So yeah, not trying to mislead anybody, but anyway, I digress. Brother Absurd, Brother Angel, Brother Mark, Sister Mo. There have been others, Sister Isha. There have been others, and it's like hopefully I'm gonna get to. I'll recall everyone else, but you guys, you stepped up in more than donating. You tried to understand me, and when you actually try to understand me, you're like, yo, okay, so he does make sense. Oh man, maybe I wouldn't have said it like that, but he's trying to make a good impact. And I am exactly what I claim to be. I'm going to do exactly what I claim to set out to do. But I mean, what they say, somebody's like, hey, give them their roses while they're here, give them their flowers while they're here. And that made me, when people like try to give me my flowers while I'm here, it's all love. Anywho, guys, you see I shoot these on Mondays and Wednesdays on Facebook Live. I also am on Instagram. I shoot videos to my Instagram feed in addition to every now and again I post content to it, but I need to post more content to Instagram. Also, I fly all of these videos over to the YouTube channel. I fly all the podcasts over to the YouTube channel. So you can go back and check these out whenever you want to. I'm trying to archive these so that people get a chance to go and listen to it, and they get a chance to be like, yo, man, hey. I mean, like, hell, at least this time when, at least this time around, you won't need any counsels to compile my writings and my works into. It's all in straight up video form. This is all stuff. You won't need Matthew, Mark, Luke, or John. It's all here. People might streamline it a bit, though, when they try to repackage it, but there are no churches. There's no such thing as church. Stop that shit. That doesn't have anything to do with anything that Jesus taught. Doesn't have anything to do with the entity that was performing through Jesus, which is performing through me now, taught. No businesses. It's not for exploitation purposes. There are no hierarchies, which destroys the whole concept, the whole premise of church and religion to begin with. Also, I post content to Medium. If you guys get any sort of appreciation out of what I do and you want to bless your boy with a little bit of love, you want to Salt Bay me, you can always hit me up on Cash App. Or you can feel free to join the Patreon family. Proceeds go to building this up to a larger platform. Again, I want to help as many people as I can before I'm out of this body. Not sure of how long I'm going to be in it. And yeah, man, we keep it moving from there. At any rate, I think I'm going to sign off a little bit early tonight. I'm going to get me a nice little shower in because it is warm in here. Warm today. Warm yesterday. Even warmer today. And, yo, man, we're on Politic and Parlay. I appreciate y'all. I love you. It's your man. Wait, let me go back to my main screen. It's your man. I appreciate you. I love you. Just a quick little review. I'm not doing this for any of the reasons that other people would do it. If I wanted to build an empire off of it, I find a good publicist and I could. If I wanted to sell this, I could. If I wanted to mislead people, I'm definitely smart enough to. But being smart enough to mislead people also puts me in a position to know that if I were trying to mislead people, the last thing I would want from them is to pay close attention to what I'm saying and scrutinize me and sort of cross-reference what I'm saying with things that can be measured and understood independent of the things that I'm describing to them. Not doing this for attention. Not doing it for women. I'm doing it to help. Love y'all. Appreciate you. I'm out.